Happy New Year, everyone. Historical Selfie here. And the year is 2025. So that means it is officially the kickoff of the New York 250th American Revolution. And it begins right here with this field guide. To get ready for the 250th, New York State has put out a field guide to examine historical sites around the state and develop themes that will create discussion for people. So here in 2025, I'm going to start off with a site called the Ludington Mill. And this site was owned by Colonel Henry Ludington. And this is in the town of Kent, but back in the day it was called Fredericksburg. And essentially at this site, this is where Colonel Ludington had to decide what side to be on. Was he going to remain with the English crown, or would he join the Patriots? So the year 1775 was a year of decision. Which side shall he join?
Henry Ludington was born in 1739 in Connecticut. At the age of 17, he enters military service and fights with the British in the French and Indian War. On May 1st, 1760, at the age of 21, he marries Abigail and moves to Dutchess County, to the town of Fredericksburg, today known as Kent, New York. He will lease 225 acres near the principal route between Connecticut and the Hudson Valley. On May 12, 1763, Henry became a sub-sheriff and took an oath of loyalty to the king. Over the next 15 years, Henry began to question his loyalty in light of unjust taxes and political unrest in Boston. On February 13, 1775, however, he accepts a commission as captain in Beverly Robinson's regiment until he resigns in 1775. We are left to ponder what ultimately led him to break with England in 1775 and eventually accept a position with the Patriots as colonel of the 7th Regiment of the Dutchess County Militia.
This is the site of the Ludington grist mill that was built in 1776. So about 250 years ago, Henry was planning his mill right here, and he was probably laying out some of the foundations. And he knew that this would be an important industry that was needed for the many farms in this area to have a mill. This Ludington Mill site is often overlooked and hardly recognized. But this site also takes in all 6 themes that is part of the New York State Commemorative American Revolutionary Guide.
Theme 1, Indigenous History is New York's History. Associate early inhabitants to the Hudson Valley to around 12,000 years ago. By the time of European contact, the area was part of the ancestral homes of the Wappinger people, with the Nakpim tribe inhabiting the land prior to the arrival of Ludington. In 1756, while many of the Wappinger men were fighting for the British against the French, Beverly Robinson, Roger Morris, and Philip Phillips appropriated most of the Wappinger territory. During the 1760s, Robinson began issuing eviction notices to the people who held titles or leases to land from the Wappingers, causing resentment by disgruntled farmers and the Wappinger people. Daniel Ninham, the leader of the Wappingers, and his people will side with the Patriots in 1775 in hope of getting their land back. I'll assume that Henry Ludington would have been sympathetic to the plight of the Wappinger. Ludington also leased his land and would have known about Robinson's eviction. During the American Revolution, Henry Ludington would have worked with Daniel Ninham and the Wappingers in defense of the Hudson Highlands. Tragically, Daniel Ninham, his son Abraham, and about 40 Wappingers are killed at the Battle of Kingsbridge on April 31st, 1778. Despite the Wappingers' service in the Continental Army, after the war, they were encouraged to leave the Hudson Valley and settle in faraway Wisconsin. Theme 2, Choose Your Side. In 1775, the Hudson Valley was a divided land with many of the landlords, merchants, wealthy farmers remaining loyal to England because they feared mob rule and potential loss of property. Most of the Patriots in Fredericksburg, including Henry Ludington, were tenant farmers living under loyalist landlords, and they were desperate for change. Theme 3, The Power of Place.
New York State encourages you to visit to get the sense of the power of place. And I agree that there's something about standing in the footsteps of those who came before us to get a better sense of what really happened, and also to be inspired to try to live up to the ideas of the American Revolution. Here at Historical Selfie, we like to encourage you to find historical sites either in Putnam County or in the Hudson Valley or wherever you may live that can try to give light and meaning to the unsung heroes that often did not get their credit or history has forgotten about them. So Henry Ludington is a lesser known hero. His daughter Sybil often gets more of the credit by having the statue, but it's Henry's decision here that will shape the future for his family and for the region. Behind me was a blue sign that commemorated the Ludington Mill. I'm not sure if it's getting restored or if it's just been taken down, but we'll find out. Hopefully this site will get more attention and draw more people to this area, because again, it's a fascinating place that has not changed that much in the 250 years. The foundation is still here, and it's still a safe place to walk to. And even though it's a little noisy with a lot of the highway traffic, you can start to get up close and personal with some of these historic sites. And as part of Living History, we encourage you to look the part as well. So this is a colonial outfit that someone like Colonel Ludington may have worn. And by wearing these clothes, it gives us a better chance to get a glimpse of what life was like and a better understanding of what it may have been.
Theme 4, We the People. In 1775, the census of Fredericksburg shows a population of 8,806, including 500 enslaved people. Enslaved people and free blacks in Fredericksburg served on both sides in the Revolution. In 1779, the Phillipsburg Proclamation promised freedom in return for service to the British Army. We don't have any records of Henry Ludington's views on slavery, but on April 26, 1777, we know that Henry allowed his daughter, Sybil, to ride 40 miles in dangerous territory to alert his militia into action. This bold action is still celebrated today. Theme 5, Unfinished Revolution. Over the past 250 years, New York has been the battleground for a variety of struggles. In 1776, it was a battle to end monarchy. Now in 2025, wealth inequality has grown to near record levels, and we essentially have replaced monarchy with corporate oligarchy. Perhaps the Rev War 250 commemoration can provide a forum for reflection and change. Theme 6, Changing Interpretations of the Revolution.
In my opinion, the 250th commemoration of the American Revolution will be digital. So here's my attempt to document some of the history for the present day to get people excited about history, but also for future generations to kind of know what it was like to live in the year 2025 as we try to think back to the 250 years of how we got started as a country and where we are today. So if you're still with me at this point, thank you, I appreciate it. And if you could hit that like button, that'll go a long way to try to spread the word that people care about history. And we want to see the 250th commemoration be something that becomes a point where we can have a civil discussion about what it means to be an American and looking back at the past and also preparing for the future. So let me know in the comments below how we can commemorate the 250th, where we can include all Americans and get a diversity of viewpoints and interests and try to create a space, a public space, where we can try to work out some of our most important issues of the day. Most people on their travels along the highway have their own concerns and probably don't realize that the important historic nature of the Hudson River Valley, and realize that they're within footsteps of a very important site in the American Revolution. So now that I've spent some time at the Ludington Mill, I'm going to go to his final resting place to see where Henry Ludington, his wife, and daughter Sybil lie today over in Paterson, New York.
A short drive from the Ludington Mill in the town of Paterson, you will find the final resting place of Sybil, her mother Abigail, and her father, Colonel Henry Ludington, at the Maple Avenue Cemetery. By visiting the site of the mill and the gravesite, may we continue to gain inspiration from these unsung heroes. History leaves clues. By commemorating the past, we are empowered to continue with the revolutionary ideas that they started 250 years ago.
So thank you for spending this time with me as we start the commemoration of the 250th, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about the Ludington Mill and the life of Colonel Ludington, and you'll want to join us as we continue to live history. Peace.